I would now like to introduce our panelists. Jennifer Anaya is the Vice President of Alloy Weld Inspection Company in Bensenville, Illinois. She is an NAS 410 Level 3 in Film Computed Radiography and Digital DDA Radiography and has been qualified as an AWS Certified Radiographic Interpreter since 2009. She received the 2017 ASNT Advancement of Women in NDT recognition, the 2018 ASNT Mentoring Award, and the 2019 ASNT Fellow Award. Kathy Ferguson is a materials engineer for the Boeing Company in Seattle, Washington. She joined Boeing in 2008, where her broad background in NDT, failure analysis, and materials selection allowed her to support multiple airplane programs. She holds 5 U.S. patents in a variety of technologies and received the 2018 ASNT Advancement of Women in NDT recognition and the 2019 ASNT Mentoring Award. Dr. Sal Razi is an NDT consultant and adjunct faculty member at Moraine Valley Community College. He is a certified ASNT NDT Level 3 in MT, PT, and UT. He is a lifetime member of ASNT and received the 2019 ASNT Mentoring Award. Ryan Spencer is a PhD candidate at the University of Tennessee, Knoxville. He is actively involved in studying advanced manufacturing of composites, additive manufacturing techniques, and performing NDE. He has been a recipient of the ASNT Student Travel Grant for the past 6 years and received the 2019 ASNT Mentoring Award. Welcome, Jennifer, Kathy, Sal, and Ryan. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Happy to be here. Good to be here.
The objective with our time today is to share some of the thinking about why mentoring is important. We will begin the discussion with a question that's important for anyone who is considering getting a mentor, and that is, how do you find a mentor? Kathy, how would you advise someone to find a mentor?
So finding a mentor depends on where you are in your career. A mentor-mentee relationship can be a formal process established by a company, or it can be a casual association that develops organically. You will primarily have more casual mentee-mentor relationships in your career, sometimes dozens at a time, where either you're mentoring somebody else or they're mentoring you, and it can be very fluid and continue your entire career. And no matter how much you know, you will continue to always develop new mentors. And you should be looking out to find new mentors all the time and to mentor others. Now, your ASNT section is one of the best ways to find mentors in different areas of NDT that can help you both technically and professionally. I do a lot of mentoring. I'm as chair of my ASNT, the Pacific Northwest section, not just in NDT, but a lot of mentoring in helping people, coach them to find new jobs, to validate them, to make them feel good about what they know and not to be fearful, and kind of helping them through those different choices, especially when they're looking for new careers or they have to give a presentation. Maybe they're giving their first presentation in ASNT. So that's what I've learned about how to find a mentor.
Sure, I'd like to add, also, if you look in becoming part of a committee such as ASTM or in AWS, you can find a lot of mentors within those organizations as well. Also in materials evaluation, or in the NDT technician that ASNT puts out. There's a lot of technicians that write papers, and if you find someone that you're interested in learning from, you can always approach someone through those avenues as well.
Good ideas.
Yeah, you also can get mentors. You know, you get them at your place of work with ASNT, the college you attend or school that you're going to go to. So all of these places, you know, and as has been pointed out, the ASNT local meetings that happen, all of those are, and then you have mentors that are specialized in your technical things that are NDT related. There are mentors you may have that are not NDT related. That'll help you with your other issues that can come up, who can guide you. So don't restrict yourself to only mentors who are in NDT, but look for mentors who will work with you to help you.
Uh-oh.
That was a great answer.
Yes.
That was wonderful. Yeah. While Saul is frozen, I'd like to add in my input too. More specifically with students, and the ASNT community is very welcoming to students. There's a mentor program during the research symposium that is ran by Dr. Shant Kandarian. It's a very structured process, but it helps students find professionals within the NDT field and align them to be mentors. So just a good structured program.
Good ideas.
Thank you. ASNT, I believe someone mentioned it, but we do offer a mentoring program that is free to members, and you can visit asnt.org/mentoring to fill out an application to receive a mentor through that too.
Okay.
Jennifer, what advice would you give on how to get the most out of a mentoring relationship?
Good question. I would first and foremost discuss your goals with your mentor and be specific. If you, for example, want to take the level 2 test by February of 2021, those are specific goals that you want to let your mentor know about. He may or may not agree with your timeline, but you don't want to start off on the wrong foot. Also, be honest about what your strengths and weaknesses are. If you struggle for math, for example, you'd want your mentor to know that so he can take the special time or find you other ways using computer programs or other ways to get past that. Also, be ready and willing to accomplish any tasks that your mentor gives you. If he says read certain chapters or try to accomplish certain things, you've got to be ready and willing to do that. Also, dedicate your full attention to the time with your mentor. Don't schedule another appointment within a half an hour of when you're supposed to meet with your mentor, so you're pressed for time. Prepare a list of points that you want to cover with your mentor before you meet with your mentor so that you make sure and get things. It's like going to the doctor's office. When you're on your way there, you can think of a lot of different things that you want to talk to him about or discuss, but when you get the pressure of being in front of them, you get off on a tangent and then maybe forget the original points that you wanted to cover. Give honest feedback to your mentor. If you are not getting what you think you should be getting from your mentor, let them know that, because they may be working towards certain things and you may not see the path, but you have to talk to them. And one of the last things I want to say is show your appreciation to your mentor. Time is valuable and time is precious to all of us. And usually mentors are people that show a lot of dedication and are very passionate about their field, and they're excited to help people. But if they're not getting any positive feedback, they may lose interest.
I agree with all of Jennifer's points. Just to reinforce, a structured list of goals will bring out, a very efficient relationship with your mentor.
I also agree as well with everything that's said so far. And so I always continuously am asking my mentee what they're looking for, reassessing. We review our progress to make sure we're on track. And I especially like the part about, giving your mentor positive feedback. That's a great idea. And also give your mentee positive feedback so that both feel validated in the relationship. Yeah.
I agree with all of that. What I would like to point out is make a list of things that you have to discuss with your mentor. You may not be able to cover everything, but at least you'll have an idea of where you're going And as you complete each of these topics, check them and say, okay, these are the additional items I have to take care of. So you look at them and say, oh, by next time I have a meeting with my mentor, I have to complete the following items. If you don't have these ideas written down, you might think you'll remember them, but in a lot of cases, you'll forget them. And when you forget these ideas, then you do not know where you're going to be when you have your next meeting. So written notes of what your meeting is going to be about is essential.
Good.
Great advice. How do you find or make time for mentoring with a busy schedule, Ryan?
Yeah, as we kind of just described before, your mentor is very busy, and so are you. And you need to be very efficient with your time and their time. So setting up a schedule is crucial for staying organized. So at the beginning, you need to kind of have this set schedule. We're going to, meet up bi-weekly or, monthly, and keep to that schedule. I want to stress that, the mentee, it is your responsibility to take initiative. And as we mentioned, bring those list of topics. Me personally, I would email a list a couple days beforehand, just so the meeting would go very smoothly. Although sometimes you don't have anything to talk about or there has been no progress, which is understandable. You still make that phone call or Skype, and have that conversation. And in my personal experience, these moments where I had nothing to talk about, actually we turned out to discuss the most, the longest. And I've had really in-depth conversations. So I also want to stress to stay in touch with your mentor, even if you've accomplished a lot of your goals. Don't just abandon the relationship. It's always good to kind of keep in touch and show that appreciation. So me personally, I've had a lot of mentors that have helped me get through jobs or internships or even grad school. And I try to stay in touch with them once or twice a year, just to keep that relationship. So but yeah, take that initiative and keep to your schedule.
I agree with everything said. With my mentees, I always set up a regular schedule. A lot of times our agenda is flexible, but we have an agenda ahead of time. And again, just as Ryan was saying, sometimes and often some of our best discussions are where we didn't think we had anything to talk about that week, but because we had that regular scheduled time, we meet and I allow that's a good time for me to answer questions that my mentee might have about things I've done in my career. And then you get to tell your fun stories of problems you solved, challenges you had, and bring a lot of color and interest to the relationship and to also to the mentee understanding the breadth of what you can do in the field of NDT and engineering.
My view about this would be that there are times when things happen and you cannot get to the meeting. As soon as possible, when you know it's not going to happen, call and let the mentor know. And it goes the other way around. The mentor may have something that is an emergency that comes up, and you need to call your mentee and let them know that there is a problem. But when you have that, set up a time saying, we missed today, but can we find another time so that that meeting that you're going to have just does not disappear from the list. It just gets postponed, and so that you can have a discussion. And so it's very important to call and cancel well ahead of time, and whenever possible. Obviously, there are times when things are completely beyond your control, but whenever possible, and it's a normal courtesy. You should do it for every meeting, whether it's a mentor meeting or any other meeting that you have scheduled with someone. It's a normal, good courtesy and practice to let the person know that they're not just waiting for you and not know what's happening. So
All good points. One thing I want to mention is also review your personal schedule in addition to your work schedule, because everybody's got busy lives, not only at work, but at home. You've got kids, you've got animals that you have to take care of. You don't want to schedule it at the end of the day or at the end of the month, or if you have to pick up your child from daycare, you don't want to schedule it at 3 o'clock and you've got to be there at 3:30. So make sure you take into consideration work and personal commitments when you're making a schedule.
Thank you. And now we'll change gears a bit. Sal, how do you approach setting your own professional goals?
Again, when you set your professional goals, it is almost always the same thing. I've always looked at it from the perspective of I have to achieve certain things somewhere, and you have to set up a goal. If you don't set up a goal, you will never reach it. That's my view of these things. So always there is a goal. There are long-term goals, there are short-term goals. No, are not going to happen in 6 months or a year. It does not mean that you're not going to have a goal. So make it a point to prioritize between short-term goals and long-term goals, and have a time limit where you say, okay, I'm going to go there. Doesn't mean that you're not going to change your goals, and it doesn't mean that the timeline is not going to change. But what it does is point out to you, I have to address this issue, that it is not forgotten and it just didn't fall through the cracks. So that's my view of how I set up my goal. There's always a time, and the goal is not necessarily only for the NDT portion of it. Goal can be anything else. You can have a goal of how to be good at golf. That's okay. Put it down on your goal, things to do, and if you have to postpone it, postpone it. But you have a diary, you have a calendar. Somewhere there is a thing where you're trying to track these things down. So that's my view of how to get to goals and to achieve them.
Yep, I think that you need to keep learning and keep setting goals for yourself. Just because you accomplished certain things, there's always something new to learn, especially in our world where technology is constantly evolving very, very quickly. Just because you learned one software program or a certain piece of equipment, there's always something new on the horizon that you could be learning, and also sharing that knowledge with other people as well.
Yes, true. And I think we discussed before where goals, can be broken into tasks. I think in a previous conversation we talked about how analogy, a meal is eaten bite, by bite, not all at once. And you take it one step at a time. And I run by an analogy where I was told one time, and I use this daily, you're a firefighter, and each task is a fire. So when you wake up in the morning and you see all the fires that you have to extinguish, and you just go one by one, some fires are larger than others, and this creates your priority list, but you attack each fire until it's extinguished. And this just kind of is a good motivation that I run by.
So for me, the way I approached that question was, I work for Boeing, and at Boeing, it's a very busy company, and new airplane programs are being started, and other airplane programs may be being completed. And as a materials engineer, I've had to be very flexible. So whatever my goals were for a particular group that I was in, that can change dramatically. And the whole area of expertise can change in an instant. When they start to shut down a program, it's time to move on. And so your goals change. And so one of the advantages is that you have so many opportunities for broadening knowledge, things you never even knew to learn about. And so you might move from metals to composites, and sometimes you might be doing NDI and something else. And then for every group that you move to, and it's about every 2 years for me, and that's been my career path. And sometimes I'm working on 3 different programs at the same time. So I have to be very flexible in setting my goals. And then I start setting my goals in that group, and to learn the technology, to make the connections that I have to make so that I can do my new role. And then I move on. So I always try to remember, as overwhelming as it can be, it's fun. And I wouldn't want to be doing the same thing every day. Sometimes that works for a lot of people and they get that deep knowledge in one area. But for my career path, I've been more of a systems engineer where I have to learn a lot of different things. So setting my professional goals is always a moving target because I have to change based on what my company needs me to do next.
Thank you. Now I'd like to know how mentoring has impacted each of your different NDT careers. Can you tell us how mentoring has impacted your career?
So for me, I would say you become what you love. Through my career, my mentors have been the most eclectic, brilliant people to work with. They've had a knack for solving the oddest problems. Those are the people I like to select to kind of hang out with, the people that have that hands-on knowledge and are curious and passionate about their work. Asking a lot of questions. I always teach my mentees, and my mentors have always taught me, you don't have to figure out the answers. If you ask enough questions, you can pretty well, the answers will fall in your lap. My mentors were typically engineers and technicians that all were hands-on learners, and that's how I now mentor people. They taught me how to notice the things that didn't belong, and I didn't have to worry about a lot of different things because I always had mentors to kind of carry me when I was struggling. So I now mentor people as I have been mentored, and that's what how it's impacted my career over the years.
Good points, Kathy. What I would have to say is self-confidence. A mentor has been there, has done what you're attempting to do or attempting to accomplish, and something that may seem very daunting to you as a new learner, your mentor can help you realize that it is achievable and it is not as daunting as you may believe. The mentor also gives you self-confidence that people a lot of times are very unsure of themselves, and a mentor may be able to tell you, no, you are on the right path. You do know what you're talking about, and you do can have authority teaching other people, or just I don't know what I'm trying to say, but it's also a great way to pay it forward for being a mentor. Is if somebody mentored you and then you can give that knowledge to someone else. If we don't give it away, it ends with us. So we don't want our knowledge to die with us. So we wanted to pass it on, all the pain and suffering that we went through in learning things and coming to conclusions, pass that information on to someone else. Very rewarding.
I've had the same thing, where I've had mentors who have taught me things of, again, I was starting new in the career, did not know enough about it. What is important, they help me you prioritize things. I've had mentors, people who were my guide when I was working on my PhD, says, you have tried to do it in this manner or this mathematical process you are using. Well, it doesn't work that way. Try the following other methods. See if you can come up. They won't solve your problems for you. And you don't necessarily always expect someone to solve the complete problem and say, here's a solved problem, go ahead and now say it's done. But they can guide you towards, because that's the learning process. Mm-hmm. It's like the mentor is a guide to help you learn how you are going to achieve things in life. So that's the important part of it. Don't expect someone to solve problems for you. Just take hints from people to help solve problems.
Yeah, great points. For me, mentoring taught me to take an opportunity if it presents itself and it meets your own goals. And I started out in the NDT field not knowing anything about NDT. I was a junior in my undergrad, working in a NDT research laboratory under the advisement of Dr. Philip Chu. who took me to a ASNT conference my senior year. And I started the networking, and soon enough had many mentors within the field kind of guide me. And they've guided me in all aspects of my career and personal, including grad school. I never thought I'd do grad school, but I did my master's, and I never thought I would do PhD. And here I am. I always wanted that, in-depth knowledge, and all my mentors told me to, keep going further and further. So here I am within my PhD program, and which is great. And I'm, as everyone else mentioned, I'm very lucky. I've been able to pass down, even my short experience onto others who are thinking about grad school or an internship opportunity or such. So yeah, it's been a wonderful experience.
That's great to hear. I have one last question, and it's for you, Ryan. Do you have a favorite app or process that you like to use for keeping organized when you're working with a mentee?
Awesome. Yeah, we've been stressing this whole time that being organized is very important. Of course, you're organized within your personal or career. You got to bring that to even your mentor relationship. I know there's a lot of I used to do Post-it notes, and that quickly failed because I couldn't keep track of it. My desk was filled with a rainbow of colors of Post-it notes, and it was all left at the office. I couldn't work at home, or I forget stuff. So naturally I went virtually, I guess, with technology, and there's a lot of great apps, free apps. I do something called Todoist. It's more of an individual one where you just list your projects and the subtasks that you have to complete, and you get the satisfying, swipe, check to complete. But there's others out there. I know Microsoft has a lot of amazing programs, even collaborative programs too, if you're within a group, so, use these tools to keep yourself organized.
Yeah, Boeing, we use OneNote, and it's very collaborative. And so with my interns, I will have them, we'll open up a folder, and I say, that's our junk drawer. Just throw things in there. Don't even worry about it. And within it, we'll have a PowerPoint, because our goal is always going to be a presentation. We always know that they've got that report out. And so we make it fun. We say, we're going to be creative. Let me show you what your power, I always want to level set and see what their comfort level is and what they've been exposed to. And they always blow me away. A lot of people, oh my goodness, they were born with a chip in their brain, and they can already do all these things. And so for them, I usually learn from them. And so we already start working on our PowerPoint. I give them examples of things to work. And then we always have a spreadsheet of kind of like high level goals. And we got that right in our OneNote. And then we have our PowerPoint that we start. And I say, that's yours. I don't micromanage that. You get to be as creative and as crazy. You can be animated with it. I don't care. And then we start pulling things from the internet, from Boeing specifications, and we start building our story. And as we build our story often changes. And that wouldn't happen if we waited to the end to build our story. So we always are constantly collaboratively working on that. And so that's my process.
It sounds very simplistic, but what about using Outlook? I mean, we use that a lot. There's a lot of different ways that you can use Outlook to notify you and remind you, set up reminders so you don't lose track of your time. But yeah, something that's right in front of you every single day is a good tool as well.
Same thing, Outlook works great. Calendars work great because the calendars on the computer remind you that something is coming up. And you can look at that and it tells you, what's going to happen 6 months from now. Okay, you've set up a goal 6 months from now and it tells you that you're coming close to your goal, and it's 3 months and you haven't done anything about it. So it's one of those things that help you guide. So it could be as simple as that. There's a lot of software available in the market that is you can get both free and software you pay for, but the simplest one is there on your computer, the calendar.
It's true. It's the most obvious when we forget, but we use it all. All of us use it all the time. Thanks for reminding. That's great.
Anything that works for you is great. If it works for you, use it. Don't
Yeah.
worry about, well, yeah, this worked for someone else. Try it. If you like it, use it.
That's right.
Yep.
Well, thank you everyone for the great discussion.
Thank you.
And have any other comments or last minute pieces of advice before we get to questions?
I would like to say something that in our industry right now is going through a huge amount of change. All the baby boomers are retiring and moving on, moving out of the industry. And now is a perfect time to find a mentor and get that knowledge before they retire, before they pass away. Once that knowledge is gone with those people, it's gone. And all the pain and suffering that they went through to get that knowledge will be lost. So.
Good point. Really good point.
Well, I'm one of those baby boomers that's retiring. You're all much younger. Okay. But, the nice thing about it, and I've got a lot of people my age group who have been involved with these, in NDT, and most of them are always available. If you can call them, they might be retired, but if you call them and say, hey, I'm working on this project, do you have any advice for me? And I've had a lot of people who have, said, oh yeah, sure, give me a call and we'll sit down and talk about it.
That's great.
Great.